Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blue Sock. Again, John, Dave, myself. We're going to look back over all of the Pro 12 action, including Leinster's win against the Dragons in the first part. And second part, look forward to the games in the Champions Cup. So, boys, pretty good win against the Dragons, 28-15. We secured the bonus point after 41 minutes and then went to sleep.
We did, yeah. It seemed to be a lot of people giving out about it, including me. When I came out of the game, I wasn't impressed at all. And I didn't get to see it back, but you know, you have to be pleased with a bonus point win with such a disjointed kind of a team. If you look through the bench, even there were so many guys making their debut, and you know, just you wouldn't call it an impact bench. You would have, you know, they all shook hands in the car park and then came off the bench in 60 minutes. So I was very, very happy with a lot of the skills in the first half, and then up to the bonus point try when Carberry went off. There's some great passing and great lines of running. Now, there wasn't a huge amount of, apart from in the line out, there wasn't a huge amount of opposition from the Dragons until the second half. They did get going, but they
was that us taking our foot off the gas, making loads of substitutions?
A little bit column A and a little bit column B.
I think that this Leinster team follows in the finest traditions of previous Leinster teams before it, of getting the bonus point and then going home. I mean, it doesn't matter who's playing. It doesn't matter if it's Rory O'Loughlin or Brian O'Driscoll. It doesn't matter if it's Ross Byrne or Felipe Contepomi. That's what Leinster teams do. It's our traditional route. And for whatever reason, it's something we don't murder teams. We never have done. I mean, it's very, very rare for Leinster.
Nice chaps.
It's very rare for a Leinster team to go out and absolutely rip a team apart. And especially in the week before.
Well, we kind of did for the first 41 minutes.
Oh, yeah. No,
you know what I mean? I appreciate
once they reach that 28-point mark, then it's sayonara, lads. And
certainly was.
Especially in this match.
Yeah.
When the week before a European match has always been the game not to watch if you want to see anything new or innovative from a Leinster team.
You're bringing on, let's say they took off once they scored the bonus point. Once Carberry's got his try. Now I don't know whether he was injured or they took him off as a precaution to wrap him up.
It was definitely precaution.
But they took him off for 45 minutes.
He's going to have to play next week.
Yeah, and then they brought on our third choice out half, and they brought on our probably fourth choice centres. You know, and sort of they brought on even a couple of new guys, Max Deegan
and Charlie Rock made the debut.
So those guys, I saw a bit of criticism of. Thought that was a bit harsh. They're very young kids. They came in. They had no daddies around them guiding them through the game.
Absolutely.
You know, the kids that were there were the Adam Burns was nearly an experienced player on the team.
Oh no, I would not be critical of the team. I mean, you could be if you want to be, but I wouldn't be because I mean, it doesn't matter what we've seen this before from various Leinster teams. No matter what the makeup, it's something that's in the DNA of Leinster teams. They just do not rip teams apart when they get into that position. Ospreys, for example, Ospreys would have put 70 points on Dragons in a similar circumstance, but that's just not what Leinster do.
But maybe Ospreys are guilty of going hell for leather
and then losing next week.
Yeah.
What would you rather? Would you rather a bare bonus point win this week and a win next week, or? You know,
well, we have a very big game next week.
We'll
come to in the second
I'd
half.
rather a win next week like we did last time, except a win the following. I'd rather 2 4-pointers than a 5-pointer and a 0-pointer this time. But I just thought they brought up the magic number 50 as well. In 12 games, 50 players have played for Leinster in 12 games. That's pretty amazing. The logistics alone of it are pretty amazing, and the fact that they've
got that many players who are capable of playing at this level.
As we were saying off camera, that the Dragons must have been going, okay, well, you know, we have a chance here, lads. Sexton's not
Brian
playing.
O'Driscoll's not playing.
Henshaw's not playing. O'Brien.
I think that news might have even got to Wales.
all of our star names weren't playing.
He never plays in the Pro 12.
And then they bring on, like, you know, fellas like Maloney, Conan, Carberry, Dooley, all these fellas that I'm sure they haven't heard too much of, and
they
you
have
know,
now.
like one fellow I thought was very impressive was Rory O'Loughlin again, and I remember seeing him down in Navan, and
Absolutely.
I thought he had a very good game down there, and I said, God, he could be something.
He looks like a nice little glider, all right, doesn't he?
Oh, he's great, yeah.
Up until the bonus point was won, because you can't get 2 bonus points in a match if you win. Up until the bonus point was won, Leinster played absolutely brilliant rugby. I mean, if you take it, the game has been over when Joey Carberry walked off the pitch, then Leinster were fantastic.
Yeah.
They really, really were. And you know, once Joey Carberry came off that pitch, you could see that with that decision what the priority was.
It was kind of like just dropping the mic and walking, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it was. Yeah. That's a very topical.
Anyway, we scored 4 pretty impressive tries. Why don't we have a quick gander?
Well, the next star man off the block, as far as I'm concerned, despite all the thing, is actually, look at that pickup from Jack Conan, by the way. And we talk about Jack Conan after we talk about the tries, but that pickup was just amazing.
Yeah.
Well, next star man off the block for me, anyway, but maybe it's because he's a prop, is Peter Dooley, as far as I'm concerned. He's
proper.
Yeah,
If
he's the
you're
real
part of
thing.
fun. But you know how committed were those two lads? He didn't really deserve to get that far.
It's hard to stop.
If you look at the body shape of him,
Big lad.
Jack McGrath and Keane Healy, like none of them are enormous men. You know,
No,
they're not
no.
what you'd consider to be monster builds. You know, like big fat props. They're very mobile and athletic looking fellas.
Inverted triangle, Jason. Inverted triangle.
None of them have a pick of fat on them. Keane Healy is a bit of a monster, but he's probably.
That's what I mean. I don't mean
all
like.
three of them have
I mean they're
abs.
more muscular than they are.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd say all three of them have abs, although, you know, I'm not volunteering to go and check or anything. I'm just guessing.
I'm sure the one woman who watches this program will.
I'm sure my wife would volunteer to check on that for
I'm
us
sure all our
if we
wives
asked her.
volunteer to do that.
The next try I thought was just loads
This
of good
was
things in it.
superb.
Again,
And Rory O'Loughlin.
No. This one is Jack Conan. Watch Jack Conan here.
Fantastic.
Bang, 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 bang.
Did you think he was
bang.
Tyke
There you
Furlong?
go. Now, if you watch, guy breaking his ass to make the support there is Hayden Triggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the guy who kind of makes that try, but just by carrying it on, you know.
Yeah.
Because when you see it, when if it,
Couple of
Lovely
rugby
team
passes
try
in
there.
there.
yeah,
Bit of
and a bit
basketball.
of deliberate knock. Now watch, great step here from Rhys Ruddock.
Cool.
See ya. Bye.
Oh, nice offload.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he needed every inch of his 6'5" to get that over the line there. Bit of a Shane Horgan
When
in
McGrath
Croke
makes
Park.
his break, there's nobody with him. Mm-hmm. And Triggs really kills himself to get up in support to make that. And McGrath does a beautiful little. Watch the little offload here. Watch it now. It's a little dinky one. There you go.
Little reverse pass was beauty, all right. Triggs had a decent game, didn't he?
Yeah.
He threw himself about a
you
bit.
see,
Apart from the
Jason,
line out again.
He is. What do you always say about New Zealanders, John?
They have good basics.
They have good basics.
They're very functional players, and they can all throw it around a little bit. Comes from having the ball in your hand from the time you put the bottle down.
I mean, even one of the most experienced players on the pitch, Noel Reardon, he went off early injured.
Yeah.
You know, and he'd be one of the guys who maybe you'd be looking to.
Yeah, he might have
Direct
100 caps for
traffic,
Leinster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to kind of keep the young fellas in line, as it were. Another great try here.
Sorry, it was the fourth try I was thinking of with O'Loughlin, not the second.
There's,
There he goes again. He nearly offloaded there.
Yeah.
He was looking to.
the line here is just.
Sublime.
Yeah.
Nobody was stopping him. Again, how committed were they? But, you know.
Well, in fairness, you'd
They
want to be
couldn't
committed
see
if you
him.
tried to stop him.
They,
But like,
they couldn't actually see him from the angle he came.
Guy takes the right line at the right pace.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how committed you are, you aren't stopping him. Because that's
You
kind
just-
of the way the play is designed.
You might just see it here. Boop. He was kind of coming. He had him blind, and he had the right pace at the right. You know, he hit the line at the right speed.
but like they were getting blitzed at that point
Oh, yeah.
in the game. You know.
True. He just kind of shrugged your man off, really, didn't he?
Last try is
This is the doozy.
is superb.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Look where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the guys killing themselves to get back in behind the line.
And they do.
5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the break.
He just seems
Ball
to
in
glide
two
along, doesn't he?
hands. Isn't that what all the commentators say? And then that was such a hard pass in between two defenders. And he had options outside him and inside him.
Mhm.
And he possibly picked the harder of the two, but executed
It's the hard
it.
work that makes it look easy.
He executed it to perfection. It was just brilliant bit of skill.
Yeah.
I mean, Carberry was there to. You see, he has. Is it Issa outside him? It is. And he goes for the inside ball. I thought that was just spectacular. Worth the price of admission on its own. And I think as soon as it was scored, the scorer was heading
Yeah.
for the showers for a quick rub down, and off we go. Yeah, I reckon he's going to have to start next week, so
Yeah.
that's why they were.
Well, yeah. Obviously, the two things we noticed was the two best players actually on the pitch for Leinster. One of them was very prominent in nearly all those tries. Jack Conan, he was absolutely superb.
He
He
did get
really,
man of the match,
really was.
And even on his interview in the post-match, he seemed to be, again, kind of taking on a lot of responsibility. You know, he was talking very much about the team performance rather than being an adulation of himself, you know, as a young man. But he was kind of, you know, he was certainly talking in very positive terms about Carberry and what he brings to the team.
That's right.
You know, and even whatever it is up to now, 13 matches of professional rugby.
Yeah. Well, and ironically,
You have to keep
the
reminding
guy who wasn't
yourself.
seen in any of those tries, who I thought was the second best player for Leinster on the pitch, was Adam Byrne.
Yeah.
But he just didn't happen to be involved in any
I
of the
know, it
scoring
was a poor
things.
game really, Dave. It's his 8th match and he didn't score a
I know,
try.
it was just a shock. No, but I mean, he was superb. I mean, he was a constant threat with his physical presence, his pace, and his, you know, he was offloading.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was excellent.
We spoke last week about whether or not he'd make the team and if everyone was kind of fit. I think again he's pushing his
He
case.
should do, yeah.
And we come to it like when we're previewing the Champions Cup game.
Rugby at the highest level seems to be, whether it's European level or international level, a lot of it is about conservative choices and backing guys that have done the job for you before, and you know, and sometimes the flashier looking younger player doesn't always get the run in the big games. You know, there'll be games that they do get the run, and if they do it, if they perform in these games, yes, they're challenging. But if there's a 50-50, the coach will always go with the Zane Kirshner rather than the Adam Byrne.
Correct,
you know, which, for rightly or wrongly, it's the way rugby goes. You know,
One thing that struck me about the match, actually, being at it, was a very poor, sparsely attended
Big
match,
poor
and
crowd,
I was
wasn't
I was disappointed, particularly considering there was 3 sold out internationals in the Aviva. And I know it costs a lot of money to go to those matches, and people maybe don't have the spare cash with.
But you've already bought your season ticket.
But maybe
Just
they weren't.
come
Season,
down.
but maybe they, you know, there were the walk-ups. But it particularly then with the back-to-back matches coming through and the brand of rugby that we're playing, like 11,000 at the match is
I
disappointing.
thought it was a poor crowd. I was really excited about this game in the days coming up to it because of the buzz that had been generated by the Autumn International, because of the buzz that had been generated by the likes of Joey Carberry being in the team, and the young players. I thought there would be a really good crowd. I mean, let's be honest, Dragons aren't a draw at all.
No.
I mean, they don't. Did they even have any of their good player?
They're the 4th Italian team after Edinburgh.
Did they even have their good player? No. So, you know, they're not. But at the same time, I can't remember a worse crowd for a Dragons game.
But generally, people don't go to watch the opposition. They go to watch support.
true.
your own
Oh,
team.
yeah.
Now, I appreciate that there was probably Christmas parties on and all that kind of crack the night before, and people were like,
Wasn't a
there's
few
just-
communions, was
there's lots of reasons, and people make their choices. I just thought it was a poor
I thought it
crowd.
was a poor crowd.
Well, anyway, the win keeps us in second place. We're now level on points with Munster, but separated on the tries and points
I
scored.
wonder who we're
Which
playing
one?
in our next league game.
Big trip down there. Some other speaking of Munster, they did have a victory over Glasgow.
They were very cute.
They got a last minute dropper, reminiscent of the great man in his palm.
I knew. I was watching that game. I was watching it here, and I knew the moment that Glasgow missed that conversion. I said I said it to the wife. I said Munster are going to go down the other end and knock over a drop goal, and that'll be the end of it.
I said it on the forum
And what happened?
10 minutes before the end.
Munster went down the other end, knocked over a drop goal, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness to Keatley, I mean, okay, he had a few shockers with it off the tee, but you know
His cross kick was good.
his cross kick was good. I mean, in fairness to him, I mean he's shipped an awful lot of criticism. Some of it justified, some of it not so. But he doesn't shy away from those chances.
Neither team were playing great rugby, in
Oh, God,
fairness.
they were dreadful.
But Munster played a lot smarter rugby, and you know, Glasgow weren't all that. They're in a bit of a slump at the
They
moment.
had 8 of their returning international coming back, so it wasn't like they weren't like
Didn't
us,
have
which
anybody.
had very few coming back.
But Munster were definitely the cuter of the two sides, and they were good for their win. They hung in and did the right thing at the right time, and the dropper was the icing on the cake for them, and they got the spoils.
And Glasgow look a shadow of the team they were the last couple of seasons. They've only won
they
half
really
their
do,
matches
yeah.
this year, and they're down to 6th in the league.
Well, we have separated into a top 8 and a bottom and 4 Italian teams. So you know, it remains to be seen now whether Connacht can mount a
Yeah, well,
comeback. I suspect we're going to go on to
Well,
them
they
fairly
will,
soon.
yeah. Like they had a
Gee,
good,
why?
they had a good win. We just get the game out of the way. They had a good win over Treviso at the weekend,
Didn't see it.
47-8. I didn't see it either, but
see it either.
they it brings them up now in their 8th position. But obviously, Pat Lam has decided to sling his hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very disappointing, but
It's disappointing. First thing that has to be said is that, I mean, Pat Lam has done nothing wrong
no.
in deciding to leave Connacht. He's
And he's done lots
he's
of
well
things
within
right
he's well within the
in the
terms of
last
his
4
contract,
years.
and he's leaving behind a province that A has some silverware which it had never had before, B has a structure and all that kind of thing. That has, is regarded as a threat on a European and a Pro 12 level, and has a lot of good players. So from that, I mean, it's disappointing, but it's not. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, I wouldn't have said there's anything wrong with it at all. It's two-sided. One side is the culture that he's built in the last few years and all the stuff he's done. Like, that stuff is there to stay, you'd hope. It's not dependent on him necessarily. That it's he's put the stuff in place that they can continue on with. So that's something he's given them that he can't and won't and doesn't want to take back. So it's great to see. It would have been lovely to see him get his final season though.
But can I just
really
say, Connacht are quite used to big name players moving on to greener, fresher pastures. Whether they come into Leinster like Mike McCarthy Robbie Henshaw, or going to Munster like Flannery, Keatley, or to other clubs, it's quite normal for them to move on. That's one thing. Also, it's a bloody professional sport. If someone's offering you an absolute fortune,
back in
I
trucks
think
full
the
of
technical
cash
term
up to
is a
your
lorry
house.
load of cash.
Larry load of cash.
He was offered 4 buttloads.
Well, it's probably 4 times, probably a 4 times increase on what his current salary is.
Very hard
So
to
it's
say
very,
no.
very hard to say no to that amount of money.
It is,
And it's especially very hard for any of us to turn around and say, "Well, I wouldn't do it."
from a fiscal reason, obviously. From a professional reason, it is strange though. He's going to a club that is likely to be relegated.
Yeah.
Very likely.
It's the attraction of West Hartlepool and
well, you see, here's the thing.
They're pulling in
The
Bedford.
last time Bristol went down, it took them 7 years to get back up.
They're pulling in
That's
Dan
an-
Toohey
That's an
for
entire
Munster
career.
already.
I mean, they spent big
Yeah.
bucks on players. They bought Ryan Jones. They got Jack O'Connell and Darren Hudson from Leinster. They brought in big players and
Matthew
didn't get
Morgan.
promoted because all you have to do, because of the playoff system. The playoff system is designed to keep teams down, not to promote teams.
Yeah.
So it's from a professional point of view, it's a risk. It is certainly a risk. They say that Bristol have a lot of money. They're going to have to spend it because if they do get relegated,
But the
they're
thing
going to
is
have
that
to spend a fortune just to get mediocre players to drop down in division.
People always say, "Oh, the owner is a billionaire," but like the billionaire made his money from being fairly
From not being
frugal.
a gobshite with his money.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and he's not going to go, "Oh, do you know what? I'm just going to throw
Piss
a
it
load
all
of it
away."
down the toilet and just buy in Brian Habana and another to
There's
supplement
another
my team."
billionaire has already done that, but has managed to make money out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, from a professional point of view, he's absolutely correct. He hasn't behaved in any way wrong. I mean, some people were saying, "Oh, he's turned his back on Connacht and all that." That's not. But from a professional point of view, it's a strange decision in terms of where Bristol might end up next season.
Well, it's certainly a challenge.
It's certainly a challenge. Challenge Cup. The other side of it is there were players who signed new contracts at Connacht, who it was rumoured very strongly were going to leave Connacht.
One of whom tweeted.
One of whom tweeted he
minute.
was leaving Connacht pretty much.
The day before he's allegedly signed.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. There's a question in from Simon O'Keefe who asks, should we poach a disgruntled Bundy Aki? First of all, I'd like
that's
to
a
know.
very interesting
I'd like
question.
to know how many gruntles he doesn't have before. Is he disgruntled or is he just a bit pissed off that his coach is leaving?
He's not degruntled. He's
Yeah.
just disgruntled.
So you'd have to. If Bundy Aki was on the market, God, yeah,
How many gruntles make a boatload or a busload or a buttload or
a buttload.
a lorry load?
Yeah,
But anyway,
there's 20 gruntles in a busload.
it's a very interesting question because you pointed out quite recently, Dave, that the money is in international rugby. A lot of the money is in international rugby. Now, okay, if you're getting a buttload, 3 busloads and a truckload full of money off somebody like Toulon, that's fair enough. You can kind of ignore international rugby, but unless you're getting the absolute top of the tree money in France or England, you probably make more by certainly playing for Leinster and getting a lot of international caps. Now the fact is, Bundy Aki can only play for, as it stands next year, as of the 17-18 season, he can only play for Ireland, Samoa, I think, or New Zealand. Now, he's not getting a gig in New Zealand because he's a contract with Connacht. He could possibly pay for Samoa, but they get paid in Roundtree's fruit gums or something. So
And probably only pay about 3 games a year.
his real only if he wants a few bob and an international career, his only real choice is Ireland at the moment. So whether
just to finish,
whether he goes to Munster or Leinster or whether he stays in Connacht, he's
There's more to it than that. He's got a couple of kids.
of course.
Like, they're probably in school down there. He's settled in. His missus lives there. Like, do you know what I mean? There's more to life than just bloody playing rugby. It's not like they're Premiership footballers making $6 million a year. They don't get paid huge, vast amounts of sums, regardless of whether they're playing for Connacht or Toulouse or Toulon.
They still probably get paid more than any of us are going
Yes,
to earn.
they do. Yes, they do. But
Well,
in relative terms, but
they're
they've only
gonna
got
earn
a
anywhere
7,
else.
8, 10-year career.
Of course.
So
the other side of it is the real money in France isn't given to guys who came over from New Zealand. It's given to guys with All Black caps or Irish caps or English caps
Yeah.
or French caps. In order to make the big money in France, you have to play
Have the
international
caps
rugby.
first, yeah.
So I don't know. If he stays in Connacht, I'm sure they'd be delighted. But I have a feeling that he wasn't that far away from moving before.
Left.
So I don't know.
The other side of that is, though, Pat Lam is only had a year left in his contract, and that would
Yeah.
have been 5 years.
4 years. But
Was it 4 and
sorry, it
5?
would have been 5. He's there
Yeah.
4 years, yes.
Yeah, so like 5 years is as long as
That's-
most coaches.
Michael
Are
Cheika
gonna
said he
have.
was going to move on after 5 years. Like that, he said that was enough. You know, Schmidt was with
People
us,
stop listening after 5 years.
and Schmidt stayed with us. And then, like, there was more of his contract to go, but he got the Irish gig and he moved on. He moved
Yeah.
upstairs, shall we say, to the Irish job. Like,
Mm-hmm.
coaches move all the time. That club, everyone
to.
churns. Like, it was a couple of seasons ago, practically their entire playing staff churned.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're well used to it. Rugby players are well used to it. Like, you know,
Since the 1st of June 2014, all 4 provincial coaches have changed.
One through unfortunate circumstances, but
No, he wasn't. He didn't change through unfortunate
oh,
circumstances.
he's already changed away
Yeah.
from being head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just the 4 provinces of Ireland, proud or not.
exactly.
So
Well, the other proud Irish province also had a victory at the weekend. They played Cardiff. Ulster has sort of 2 kind of basket case clubs, I suppose.
Yeah.
Ulster halted their 3-game sequence of losses to beat Cardiff away from home.
which they've promised to resume on the 31st of December.
And they scored 5 tries in the process, but they made heavy weather of
They
it.
nearly faked
Kinda
it
let
away, I believe,
Cardiff
yeah.
back into it.
It's Cardiff.
It was in Cardiff, though. We struggled to we needed cheating ref Dudley to do it for us.
Cardiff are 7th now. They're 1 place ahead, or 2 points ahead, and 1 place ahead of Connacht.
I reckon Edinburgh will be handing over their copy of Rosetta Stone and Guido dello Italiano to Cardiff on the as they pass one another in the night.
Who knows?
Because Edinburgh, well, here's the
Maybe
difference.
Conor O'Shea will book them up.
Edinburgh are crap, Cardiff are crap. But Edinburgh under Alan Solomons will at least win 75% of the games at home. Cardiff won't.
Well, they were starting to put a run of it together there last
And
season.
remember,
but
Edinburgh move after Christmas to
Yeah.
their new ground.
That's true.
To their
Might give them a
Watsonians
little bit
ground.
of a boost,
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
of a bump. Yeah.
So that, I mean, look what it did for Glasgow. So
Their coach, the coaching setup hasn't settled down though, has it? They're still on a temporary coach.
they are, yeah.
So
I thought they'd kind of settle things, especially after their, you know, when they. Sorry, we're talking about Cardiff now?
Edinburgh.
Or Edinburgh,
Edinburgh.
sorry, yeah. Well, they were beaten by.
Yeah, I was saying about
Ospreys.
Alan Solomons, of course, he's no longer there.
yeah,
But just moving back briefly to Cardiff, like Cardiff kind of seemed like they had settled their off-field problems, you know, by moving back to the Arms Park, their spiritual home.
All that's
Got that pitch in place, the 4G, which
and they've
produces
given up
great
being a
rugby.
region. They're,
They're not even pretending anymore.
they're not even pretending now. They used to pretend.
Yeah. But the thing is, I mean, they're still Cardiff.
Yeah. Well, the Ospreys, the only kind of
The one true region.
The shining light.
they're 3rd at the moment, 1 point behind us. They've won 7 of their 10 games in the Pro 12.
I mean, we had a kind of a period of a couple of years where some fancy new lads started showing some tricky moves on the dance floor, from out west and up north.
Mhm.
But you know, it's back to strictly ballroom with the same old faces again. Really, if you think about it, Munster, Leinster, Ospreys at the top.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
Yeah, well, in today's snapshot, it certainly is. We'll see how long it continues for, but I have a feeling that
from strictly ballroom to come dancing.
I have a feeling that Ospreys are going to take their Champions Cup spot back off Connacht. That's certainly the way it's looking, you know. Connacht are going to be.
Connacht can still.
They can still do
Banjacks
it.
Wales too, so they can.
They can still do it, but it'll be Scarlets they catch if they
Yeah.
catch someone, you know.
Well, anyway, we'll talk about the Champions Cup in the second part. As ever, boys, thanks very much. And thanks very much for watching. Cheers.